What's up, y'all?
Hey, y'all.
Welcome to a special edition of Love Seek Dialogue. This is Marriage Matters, the beginning of our series about marriage.
Yes, so for the next few episodes, we will dive into the specifics of why love matters, what I like to call the meat and potatoes. Yeah.
The meat and potatoes, right? Of what it takes to have a successful marriage.
Yeah.
Before we begin, I gotta bring y'all attention to the beauty of this woman. You see what she got on? Queen.
Yes.
She got the Jordans to match, the black and gold. I see you.
Okay.
I see you.
I want you to sing.
I just want to let you know that I see you. I see you. You came prepared. You came ready with the J's on.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Right? I see you. I see you.
Well, look at you. You got your J's on too.
I got my J's on too.
Okay.
We kind of.
You're looking good, fly.
We kind of matching. I'm trying to match your fly.
No.
I'm trying to
Trying
match
to
your
match
fly. But again, this is a special edition, y'all. Marriage matters.
Marriage matters.
So, before we begin into the topic, the meat of this evening, let's talk a little bit about why marriage matters and who marriage matters to. I say marriage matters to God.
Yeah.
Marriage matters to family. And why marriage matters to family? My answer to that question would probably be because marriage solidifies a foundation and makes it very hard for a person to just up and leave, because you're not going to just get up and go and leave what you're invested in.
Right.
Right?
There's no I in team, right?
There's no I in team.
Yeah.
There's no I in team. So that's why marriage matters to family, because it solidifies the foundation. It makes it easy. If you're not married, it's easy for a person to just get up and walk away.
Yeah.
They're not committed to anything. They haven't invested in anything into it. But if you invested something into it, you're committed to see your investment through. So you're going to work a little harder to try to make sure that it works, right?
Right.
Marriage matters. What we want to talk about this evening is from this topic. Keeping the main thing the main thing. Right?
Yeah.
Keeping the main thing the main thing. Some of y'all probably heard that phrase before. You got to keep the main thing the main thing.
Yeah.
So when I say keeping the main thing the main thing, what's the first thing that comes to your mind?
When it comes to marriage, keeping the main thing, I think about the vows we take at the altar. What about you?
Okay, I think about focus, and I think about priority.
Mm-hmm.
When we're talking about keeping the main thing, I think more about focus and priorities, which is not too far removed from what you just said about the vows, right? Because that's the main focus of the marriage.
Absolutely.
It's staying on point to what the vows are.
Absolutely.
Because a lot of people, you're tested when you reach that point in your vows or in your marriage when it says for better or for worse.
Yes.
You're really tested when it says or for worse, right? And that worse can be a plethora of things.
Absolutely. Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah, so that's what I think of. And I think that my answer for that, my thought for that and your thought for that is kind of go hand in hand. They go together. So keeping the main thing, that is our topic for this evening. And for us, the number one main thing is keeping God first.
Absolutely.
Keeping God first. Why? Because God created marriage. He defined marriage. Mm-hmm. He is the perfect picture no pun intended, literally, the perfect example of what love is. We use his word to get married. And I probably said this before in the past, a lot of people go through that ceremony, go through that process, and they kind of leave him there after they say I do and kiss, and then they go home. And God is no longer important to their marriage anymore. Right? But for us, God has always been important. We always wanted to keep him in the center. Because like I said in the beginning, he is the foundation. And with God being the foundation, here's the difference. Because you might say, I'm not religious at all. I'm spiritual. Or I'm not spiritual at all. Or religious. You probably don't believe in God. You may be agnostic. You might be atheist. I don't know. But I'm gonna ask that you approach this video with an open mind and an open heart, and just hear us out from our perspective of why we feel like God should be number one in your marriage. Because God is the foundation. If you lay the foundation right, if you build your marriage on the rock, aka God, aka Jesus, if you build your foundation on the rock, which is very similar to bricks. So you know what a house made of brick is like, right? So if you build your house, your marriage on a rock, bricks, you got a solid foundation. You got a solid foundation. It can withstand any storm. Yes. Any storm. So when the big bad wolf comes, whether that's the devil or whatever that big bad wolf may represent, maybe bad health, maybe lack of finances. If it's built on a rock, which is God, you can withstand it all. But if you build your foundation on money, somebody having a good job, a good career, entrepreneurship, a good business, if you build your foundation on good looks, good sex, it's only a matter of time. That's a weak foundation. That's like a house built on sand. And if you ever read the Three Little Pigs, when the big bad wolf comes, that's going to be a house easy to blow down because you don't have a solid foundation. You built it on sand. You built it on good looks. You built it on sex. You built it on money. It's not a sustainer. You can't sustain a good marriage or any relationship. I don't care if you're not married. You could be dating. You can't sustain no relationship like that. Long term. Especially when the worst comes. In life, we all go through storms. It's going to be good seasons. It's going to be bad seasons. But when the bad comes, your foundation is going to come in question. Whether you survive the storm or you succumb to the storm. Your house come crumbling down, you'll realize whether you had a solid foundation or not.
Absolutely. Yeah. That was good stuff. I want to add that with God, you do learn the fruit of the Spirit. Just name a few: love, patience, kindness. And so with that, you learn patience with your partner, because sometimes things may not always be, the way you want them to be. Unconditional love.
Right.
Because that person is not always, like you said, they don't always look good to you. You get mad, you're like, oh, look at him, look at her. Right. Kindness. It's you know how to be kind to one another, how to use your words with kindness. Think before you speak. We had a community around us, and so they were praying for us, and we learned from that how to fight respectfully. We won't agree all the time, but to just be respectful to
how to agree,
each other.
How to agree to disagree, right?
Absolutely, because you won't always agree with one another, but with God, you just bring God in for everything.
For everything, because He's the authority. He has something to say about everything.
Yes.
Self-control is another fruit of the Spirit.
That's a
right.
good one. That's
So
a real good one.
self-control. Self-control can be a lot of things, but in the point of disagreeing or arguing respectfully, self-control can help us tame our tongue.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yes.
Self-control. Keep our anger, our emotions in check. So there's so many benefits and reasons why God should be number one in our lives and center in your marriage.
Yes.
Matthew 6:33 says, "Seek ye first the kingdom of God and all of his righteousness, and all of these things will be added unto you."
Yeah.
Now, granted, in context, that verse was talking about clothes and food. Do not worry about what you should eat, what you should wear. Mm-hmm. But if we look at the overarching theme of what that section, what that scripture was about, it was about provision. God will provide.
He will.
He will provide. So that's why keeping the main thing for us, the number one main thing is God.
Yes.
Let's move on to number two.
Number two, y'all ready?
Number two, because God does things in decent and in order.
Yeah.
He has a structure. He has an order.
Yes, he does.
Number two is family.
Family, y'all.
Family, y'all. And that's your spouse. That's you and your wife, or you and your husband.
Yes.
Family.
It's God, family, your spouse, you and your spouse.
Then your kids.
Then your kids. Then everybody else.
Then everybody else.
Let's say that one more time for people that didn't hear us.
It's God first.
God first.
Your spouse.
Your spouse.
Your kids.
Then everybody else.
Then everybody else.
Yes.
But your household has to be a priority.
Yes.
Your household. And as men, let me be the first to say, before my wife chime in, let me be the first to say we got a lot of things pulling us out of the household or distracting us inside the household. Whether that's sports, that's video games. If we work at a job, we chasing overtime. We're always at work. Ministries, volunteer work, clubs. Men have a lot of things going on to where we kind of subconsciously and not purposely a lot of times neglect our households.
But I want you to put all that on men, because today we're living in different times. Back in the day it was just the men.
Yeah.
But today there's women as well. Because we as women can get caught up in our jobs.
Okay.
We get caught up in the children and everything the children need us to do, everything the children need or want, you know. And so it's not just the men today.
Right.
It's also the women that bring work home.
Okay.
You know, they've been at work 8 hours and you want to bring work home for another 3, and your husband needs to eat or just need to just look into your eyes and ask him, how was your day today?
Yeah.
So it's not just the men. It's collective.
Because now we're in a world where in most households, the male and the woman has to work, right? So there are a lot of things that's pulling for our attention because the cost of living is higher. The average family can't sustain with just one person working.
Yes.
So two people, both parents, are out of the household with jobs, with hustles, with businesses, and like I said before, with ministries. Like I'm heavy into ministry. Like I'm head over the men's ministry, so I do that a couple of times a month, where I spend time with guys and I check on men, mentoring, all of these things, right? But in keeping the main thing, it's about, like I said in the beginning, it's about prioritizing. It's about prioritizing. We can't take our eyes off the prize.
That's right.
Which is our marriage, which is our spouse. There are things that are important that we do. for survival. There are things that we do for leisure to take our minds off of responsibilities, like video games, like watching sports, which I don't really watch sports like that. I'm just speaking for men right now, because I know a lot of us do. But there are things that we do to take our minds off the everyday pressures of the world. And I get that. Nothing wrong with that. But when we do it excessively, when we let that take up the majority of our time, we neglect our households.
Yes.
We neglect our spouses. We neglect our kids. Kids are growing. As a man, think about when you were young, especially if you didn't have a present dad in your home. Think about when you were young and what you was into. The wisdom you wish your father would have shared with you. The times you wish your father would have been at your basketball games or football games, or just practice with you. Take you outside and throw a ball back and forth with you. Think about those times that you wish you would have had with your father. You might have the opportunity to do that right now with your kid. But you signing up for every time overtime is available at your job because you're chasing money. I'll never forget this older gentleman that I met at Bethel Church years ago. I wasn't a leader in this men's ministry at this time, but I was building a relationship with this older gentleman. I thought he was cool. He was at the church all the time. But we got to talking one day, and he told me that he spent a lot of years in the mill, y'all. He worked in the mill. If you're from Northwest Indiana, you know that the steel mill is one of those jobs where a lot of our fathers and grandfathers have lived at. You know what I mean? They missed a lot of children growing up and a lot of things at the house because they was at the mill 16 hours a day. So this particular gentleman was telling me that his back was hurting. And at that particular time, he was on his third back surgery.
Wow.
Third back surgery. And second marriage that was just about ruined, just about over. And he told me the reason why he was in that position is because he spent all of his years, majority of his younger years, at work.
Wow.
Chasing overtime. Mm-hmm. And when he wasn't at work, he worked on cars on the side. He was always outside of the home. He missed a lot of the years of his kids growing up. He wasn't paying his wife no attention because all he was doing was chasing money. And today, at that time, he said, today, all I got to show for it is a bad back.
That's sad.
If I was to do it all over again, I would have did things totally different. Now, he don't know the testimony that he was sharing with me was ministering to me. Like, I was like, wow. See, I've always been one of those type of people that I don't have to go through it myself to learn anything. I don't got to bump my own head to know.
Yeah, me too.
That ain't what I should be doing.
Yeah.
I can actually learn from other people's mistakes.
Absolutely.
And appreciate it when they're talking to me. I can actually hear a person talking and sharing their testimony and their story, and it's almost as if God is talking to me. I'll be like, okay, I hear you, God. I hear you. That ain't the route for me to go.
I agree. Me too.
So keeping the main thing the main thing. You can be a coach, sports coach, a mentor. What does it look like to have other people's children in your care that you're coaching, that you're mentoring for, I just throw a number out there, 40 hours a week, but you haven't spent a good solid 4 hours with your own kid? You know? Priorities. How does it look, a few hours that you do have at home, to just be sitting in front of the TV playing video games? Not having a real conversation with your spouse. not making love to her mind, not flirting, not having real conversation, seeing what her day was about. Maybe rubbing her shoulders, massaging her back, spending that quality time. You know what I mean? Those are the things we got to think about when we're talking about keeping the main thing the main thing. Our first ministry, I'll never forget. Pastor Ray, shout out to Pastor Ray.
Yeah.
Was doing volunteer work at the church when I first started getting involved. And he told me, your first ministry is at home. Your first ministry is at home. When you start doing too much at church and it's pulling you away from the house, that's not of God. So replace that with anything. When you start doing so much and too much with anything, with your job, whatever that job is, whatever that club is, whatever that volunteer work is, whatever, and it's taking you away from your house, your spouse, and your children, that's not what God wants. We want to pour into and nourish our home so we can have a solid foundation.
Well, I'm going to add to that. Ladies, I don't want to let us off the hook because we got some things too. We got our sorority sisters, we got our jobs, and we got those kids. Again, like I said earlier, those kids that, Mama, I want you to take me here. Mama, I want you, we feel obligated because a lot of times we have guilty mom syndrome because we work.
Yeah.
And then we're like, well, we got to go watch this movie. I take the kids to the movies. We got to do everything that they want to do. And that's fine. But we still have to find that balance to spend with our mate. The kids still sleeping in the bed with you. You know, those kind of things. We got to, the main thing.
Yeah.
So I just want to add, we not off the hook because we got some things that we do as well that we can do better.
And it's all about refocusing, right? Refocusing.
Yeah.
Because life can pull us in many different directions and you can get busy, you can get frustrated, you can get off course. Like we just started our date nights back again. Mm-hmm. And we'll say that for another episode, the meat of it, right? But we just started it back and a lot of times we get so busy to where we can look up and probably hadn't had a date night for 2-3 weeks. Yeah. For like 3 weeks and be like, man, we got to get back on track. Right. So it's easy to lose focus in life. But the key is you got to process. You got to pay attention to what's going on and see what the enemy is trying to do and put the train back on the tracks, you know?
Yeah, and I want to add too, because I'm not saying that, everybody needs that breather. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So, but I think that with a balance,
your
husband may need to go out with the guys every now and then, because I don't know about men stuff. You need to talk to men about that stuff. I may need to talk to my friends, my girls, about something that I'm going through. He don't know nothing about menopause. I can't talk to him about menopause. He don't know what I'm talking about. But with balance is the word for it today.
And fellas, exactly. Fellas, you gotta give your wife that space to be with the girls. Just like she was just saying, she giving space for me to be with the fellas. We also got to give them space to have girl time. Because there are things that we can't relate to.
Yeah.
Right? I went to Dunkin' Donuts about a week ago to get a breakfast sandwich right before work, right? I pull in, I asked for a turkey sausage, egg and cheese muffin. I had a muffin. And I added a hash brown, right? So I get up to the window, I pay the woman, she give me the bag, and I drive off because all I'm thinking about is, man, I got a few minutes before work, I'm going to get in this parking lot and smash this. I'm going to smash this sandwich, these hash browns, and I'm going to eat before I go into work. We got to eat something. I'm a breakfast person. I got to eat something. Drink a smoothie, eat something before I start my day. That's me. Not everybody is like that. She's not like that. No. But me, this is what I did that day. So I got to the parking lot and I look in my bag. I see my sandwich. I see my hash browns. I don't have no napkins. I don't have no ketchup. I don't have no jelly.
Oh.
I could have did without the jelly. But the fact that I didn't have none of these things, I desperately needed some napkins. With these three things that I was missing, if I had had them, it would have maximized my experience, my breakfast experience, right? But I was missing those things. So I ate it. You know, we black, we improvise, we make do what it do, right?
Yeah.
But I was disappointed that I didn't have what I needed to maximize my experience.
Go ahead.
In a marriage, if you don't have what you need, like God.
Y'all, he preaching.
If you don't have what you need like God.
Yes.
Because with God, like she said, comes the fruit of the Spirit. With God comes everything. You comes love.
Yes.
Come patience. Come kindness. Come self-control. All of the fruit of the Spirit, right? If you don't have that, you will not have the maximum experience in your marriage. So that's why I'm saying keep the main thing, and God should be number one because God is a sustainer. God is the authority. Why is he the authority? Because he created marriage in the first place. You don't get an Apple phone and if you never had an Apple phone, you're probably going to have to go to the manual to see what's going on with it, to how to work this thing. And that's what the Word of God is. It's the manual to how this thing works. And when the upgrades come with your Apple phone, when the upgrades happen, you know what to expect. You might not know what comes with the upgrade, but you know you good. You had an upgrade before, right? So with God and the Word of God, upgrades are constantly happening in your marriage. Like things that used to make you mad, if you've always kept God in the center after so long, right? It don't make you mad no more.
It shouldn't make you mad.
It shouldn't make you mad no more, right? Because God is teaching us a better way how to handle this thing.
Yeah. But if you're growing cohesively together, the thing that made you mad, it doesn't make you mad anymore. It's because that person probably not doing it anymore because they know it made you mad. If that makes any sense. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like if you are talking about things, and we'll get into a lot of that later in our series, then your goal is to please your partner.
Yes.
So you shouldn't still be getting mad about that same thing because with correction, with wanting to change, there should be some difference in the way you do things, if that makes sense.
Some humility.
Yes, there you go.
Some humility will come along, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Right? You'll realize that, okay, this is a fight, but I'm not necessarily trying to win this fight.
There you go.
I'm not trying to disrespect or try to throw some low blows in this fight. I'm really trying to understand what's wrong. How did I mess up? How am I at fault? How are you at fault? Let's get to the bottom of this because we really don't want to go to bed angry. I'm facing one way in the room, she facing another way, right? Yeah. But these are things that happens, right? These are things that happens, but with God in the center, you can't go wrong. You can't go wrong.
Yeah. And like we said last episode, why are we qualified to tell you about why marriage matters? Well, because some of this stuff we're talking about, we went through ourselves.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, and we failed a lot of tests before we started passing tests.
Yes.
We failed a lot. Right? But as the series progresses, as we go into episode after episode, we'll start diving into more and sharing more of our personal stories and testimonies. But this episode is just about keeping the main thing, and what the main thing is. It's God and it's your family. Keep those things first and you can get through anything. Alright, y'all. Peace. Another episode of Love Seek Dialogue, special edition, Marriage Matters. 100.
Welcome to my home. Welcome to my home. Welcome to my family. That's how it's supposed to be. Welcome to how I live. Welcome to my kids. Welcome to everything. 'Cause your loving's been so good.